Hey everyone, and welcome. My name is Tom, and this here with me today is Cole, and we are part of a community called the DC Gaming Group. We are a community of mature video game enthusiasts, and we like to get together to talk about, play, and just overall discuss video games. For myself, I am the community manager of DC Gaming Group, particularly in our Discord server.
I'm Cole. I am just an administrator with DCGG. Been involved with the gaming community around DC for a long time, and I'm glad we're kind of like getting together. Unfortunately, we only had one in-person event before COVID forced us all virtual, but I feel like we've made it work pretty well.
One of the topics that often comes up in DC Gaming Group is some of the new games that have come out recently. And that brings us to the topic of today's video, which is Valheim.
So Valheim, from their store page, it's a brutal exploration and survival game for 1 to 10 players. And I think emphasis on the brutal. It's not an unapproachable game, but it's not forgiving. You can play single player and you can be successful single player, but it's definitely a game best with friends. You explore a procedurally generated world. The idea is you're kind of caught between Viking purgatory, and you have to appease Odin to prove your worth, so you can go into the halls of Valhalla. And what it means is what any survival game is: a whole bunch of chopping down trees, a whole bunch of crafting, um, and a lot of body recovery, depending on how bad your decision making might be when approaching new biomes and bosses. If you've ever played Subnautica, the biome mechanic, I guess, design, um, it will be familiar to you, where you'll face different enemies in different biomes, and each kind of has like a boss that you're going to beat. But it's a very vibrant and unique game in that it doesn't do any one thing different, but it combines a lot of things together pretty well.
It is an early access title. I think at
Mhm.
this point, how many players? 6 million players downloaded the
Yeah,
game, maybe
something
maybe
nutty.
more.
Yeah.
So for a small studio, it's definitely seen a lot of success very early on. I jumped into the game with 3 other friends, so the 4 of us have basically played from the beginning up to where we are now, which is to say maybe like halfway through available content to experience as much of it together as a crew of 4 as possible. And I think you're early on to something, Cole, when you say that it is best experienced with other players, hunting for new resources and trying not to die. So when you're with friends, it makes the process a little bit easier. Yeah, I would say that I was very glad to have those friends in the beginning, because I also tried playing the game a little bit alone in a
Mhm.
separate session, and it is very difficult. Um,
Yeah.
One of the features that is really nice about Valheim is that your character, some of the progression that you make individually, is saved whenever you move on to other worlds and realms. So for a traditional survival game, you kind of start from scratch you every time you decide that you want to start a new session. And in this one, there's a little bit that carries over, so it
That
makes
is
things feel a
nice,
little bit more permanent. Yeah.
because it does encourage that kind of like let me go visit a friend, right? Let me go like visit my friend on this server type of thing. Whereas a game like Rust, let's say, like there's not really like, oh man, maybe I don't want to go to my friend's server because I'd have to restart unless he's got blueprints and stuff. But I do like that. The game, it's kind of limited in its social tools, which again, early access, it all makes sense. But like the core play of it encourages you to play with others and engage with other people on it. I've
Yeah.
never joined a public game though. That would be an interesting
it's
experience, I'm sure.
that's true. That's something I haven't explored yet, is the public open servers.
So what got you at least initially interested in the game
Yeah,
before you started playing, and like what hooked you right after?
yeah, that's a good question, because I had seen it a lot
Mhm.
on the Steam marketplace actually. It was being featured a lot, and then after a little while, talk on some of the other Discord servers that I'm a part of started
Mhm.
bringing up this new game Valheim. Like, oh, like what is it? Like, how does it work? Is there progression? Is there permadeath and like these little gameplay elements of it? What about yourself, Cole?
I'd watch some streamers play it. I will say, like the building system, after seeing a couple of like what could be done. Like I think I saw a streamer play it at the start. You couldn't build much more in like a little shack. I missed his second stream, saw the third, and was like, wait a minute, hold on, you can do this. So the building system definitely bit me with the bug. And I did start solo, and honestly spent a good amount of time just kind of building and putzing around. I think I got to Bone Mass, but I hadn't fought
Mm,
him. Or I'd gotten to the swamps, was like starting to unlock iron stuff. Then a buddy of mine reached out. He saw me streaming it on the Twitch channel. Go
mm.
follow DCGG on Twitch. And he's like, "Hey, you want to hop in?" He found some. He playing with two other randoms, and we've had a good time. Um, it's easy to like work together. I remember like we first hopped on and we died. Like we spent the first 4 hours recovering bodies from the mountains.
Mm.
And this guy was just like kind of patiently helping us like recover the bodies, throwing us food as we
That's
kept
funny.
getting destroyed. But kind of that suffering together builds character and really, makes for some good fun stories in this game.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of survival games have a lot of opportunity for just memorable moments like that.
Mhm.
When you are working as a team to fight against odds, and it just like bring those stories back, especially
Yep.
for a game like Valheim. I think it does that really well because, again, of its emphasis on exploration, because you
Mhm.
really don't know what's out there. So when you say, you know what, I think it's time to climb that mountain, and then you discover that the monsters up there can whoop your butt real quick,
Mhm. Yep.
and then you just have a journey in itself at that
Mhm.
moment. Would you say that the death system is something you don't enjoy, or that you actually do?
I appreciate, say hello to the kitty cat. I appreciate that you can recover all your items. The loss of skill can be a bit brutal. My buddy of mine keeps saying he's hit level 23 running like 50 times now. And I think for the most part, it doesn't stop you from having fun. I've never been super bottlenecked. The I think what we have gotten troubled by is the long distances to get bodies and the long time to recover them can be frustrating. That's also just us not planning well. We should definitely bring more portals anytime we go anywhere.
It definitely is the kind of game where it'll throw problems at you as you discover them
Mhm.
and let you find many different kinds of solutions to solve them. One of the early experiences that I had was, building a house with three other people, and then somebody on the outside thinking that they were clever deciding, you know what? It would be pretty cool if we could go under the house
No, oh
and
no.
started digging holes underneath the house, which caused it to collapse. It's
Yeah,
just like, all
no,
right,
it's not Minecraft, unfortunately.
yeah, no, things don't
Mhm.
float in this game. If there's anything else that we should talk about, perhaps it's what the developers have in store for the future of Valheim.
You've got was it 4 updates that are guaranteed right now? Hearth and Homes, Cult of the Wolf, Ships and Sea, and the Mistlands. Hearth and Home is going to look on the building system and give player more things to do with their homes. Cult of the Wolf is going to be about exploration and combat. Ships and Sea, well, about your ships and sea. The Mistlands will be a new biome. I will say I'm kind of impressed at how many like decorative options you already have. And the building system itself already allows for a lot of expression. That being the first thing that they're going to already add more to. Um, my girlfriend watching me play would sometimes be like, "Oh, so it's like The Sims, but like you're a Viking." Yeah, not far from it, I guess. If you're at all interested in survival games, this is a must. If survival games aren't usually your thing, this would be a cheaper game to try and really kind of see um, something that's already executed very well at its core and is probably only going to get much better with the amount of money that they've gotten from this. The sky's kind of the limit for this team now.
I would say the same. Like Valheim is, wonderful. Um, like anyone who likes survival games, anyone who wants an adventure, you could play it alone, you could play it with friends, you can join on the public servers. Like I think there's an experience there for many people who are fans of the general genres. I think we'll wrap up here.
Perfect.
So, you know, thank you everyone for watching. If you're interested to learn more, to talk with us about whether Valheim or other games, other interests that you have, or you want to join DC Gaming Group, we're a public group. You can find our website, dcgg.gg, and there you can find links to all of our social media platforms, which includes our Discord server and our meetup group. there we can continue the conversation, or you could join our games. We have a lot of other events going on every week. Every weekend we have something. Take care and see you on the server.